In this overview, we'll show you the highlights of consolidation. Financial consolidation is the process of combining financial data from several departments or business entities within an organization, usually for reporting purposes. To facilitate the consolidation process, we have a consolidation dimension. There are 6 members of the consolidation dimension. Entity input is where data is entered directly to an entity. Entity consolidation is where data resides at consolidated entities. Entity total is the aggregation of entity input and entity consolidation. Proportion is the proportionalized data for an entity. Eliminations is where intercompany eliminations happen, and contribution is the aggregation of proportion and elimination. The consolidation process starts with data being entered at the entity input level of the consolidation dimension in base level entities. Data is then translated for the base level entities from their entity currency to the parent currency. Data at entity total and parent currency is then proportionalized, and intercompany eliminations are calculated and then aggregated into contribution. The sum of the children's contribution becomes the entity consolidation at the parent, and then the process is repeated for each level of the entity hierarchy. You may run a consolidation from the rules card. Select your POV and launch. When you run it from rules, it is not asynchronous, which means you will stay with the consolidation until it finishes running. You can also run the consolidation rule from any web form that you've added the rule to, and by default it is in the data status form. Select Action, then Business Rules, and then Consolidate. You will get a timeout message, which means the processing has moved to the background so you can perform other operations within the application. You can view the status of the consolidation within Jobs, select the application cluster and the Jobs card. The calculation statuses for data are OK, Impacted, No Data, and System Change. If the data is impacted, meaning it has changed, you will need to run a consolidation. Whatever period you run, within a year, the system will consolidate the impacted data for all periods up through the period you have selected. If you have an entity that has a status of system changed, it will only consolidate the period you selected and not any previous periods in the year. When you run a consolidation of the last period of a year, it automatically impacts the first period of the next year. If your consolidation hangs, meaning it hasn't completed for an extended period of time, you need to run Force Consolidate, which clears the hung consolidation process and starts the consolidation again. In this overview, we showed you the highlights of consolidation. To learn more, visit cloud.oracle.com.